Hey there everybody, Eric from Outer Limitless coming at you today with another video. Now in today's video, a new chapter for Outer Limitless. It's time to get into e-bikes. Here you can see boxed up, this is the Heybike Mars, a 20-inch wheel folding model, a lot of different versatility, and well, e-bikes, they're not the wave of the future, they're definitely the wave of the now. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a look at this Heybike Mars in detail. First today, an unboxing, a general feature overview, and then in the future, well, this is going to be a little bit of a mini series. I'm going to do a few other videos with this. So today, again, the unboxing, moving forward, first impressions and ride quality, and then, well, I have a couple of specialty projects I am going to do with this Heybike Mars. But with that said, I have a whole bunch to do and a whole bunch to share with you, and if you're interested in seeing a little bit more about what I'm about to get into, do me a favor, stay tuned. Now before we get too far, I would like to say thank you very much to the people at Heybike who did provide this for review. Now again, you heard me say e-bikes, they're not the wave of the future, they're the wave of the now. I'm going to premise this entire video by saying, you probably don't realize this about me, but I grew up heavy-duty riding mountain bikes. That was like my thing. If there was a sport to be had, mountain biking was my jam. Then moving forward into my mid-20s and through my 30s and now into my 40s, motorcycles. And so combining the two now into e-bikes, this is absolutely fantastic. So the e-bike Mars, very flexible, based upon a 20-inch rim. This is going to be a folding option, which for me could come or go. I'm going to really sort of take a look at it to see if the folding application is something that's useful to me, but this is going to be a wonderful platform to work off. And when I say a platform, that's exactly what this is. This bike has a lot of different options, a lot of different capabilities, and the interesting thing is, well, if you grew up on bikes too, you know all the usual suspects, all the usual names in the business. There are bike companies that were traditional pedal bike companies that have now adapted their bikes to the e-bike platform. This goes kind of the other way. Heybike, born and bred on e-bike technology. They are coming up on their anniversary, so if you're watching this video and at the time of this video, there are some good deals out there for Heybike. So take a look at the links below. There will be a number of different links that you can follow. So if you like what you see here, do me a favor, check it out below, and definitely check out Heybike. But that's what I'm here to do, get a first look, first impression of this. So the first thing's an unboxing, and then we'll get into the features. Now the first thing to consider, this is very heavy, weighing in at over 80 pounds in the box. It's going to be a little bit cumbersome, a little bit difficult to pick up, so you may be doing a little bit of a wrestling match. Now, the good thing is, this does get shipped directly to you very quickly. Heybike having wonderful service. You can order these in a number of different places. Again, going to have some links below, but again, very quick on the shipping and coming nicely packaged. Now, I believe, based on what I think I know, this should be pretty straightforward for the setup. You can see some wonderful foam padding keeping everything nicely protected, and you end up with a lot of bubble wrap and a lot of zip ties. So we'll kind of make some sense of this thing, hopefully in pretty short order. Now one thing I'm going to say right away, I'm glad this has nice quality foam padding and it doesn't break apart. Usually when you get into this and you have that crazy styrofoam, you have bits of styrofoam everywhere. That drives me absolutely nuts. So Heybike using nice foam, it doesn't break apart, it's durable, definitely protects the bike, no problem, and better off, it doesn't actually break apart and make a big crazy mess. So far, no mess to clean up, that's a bonus. You end up with everything pretty well zip tied together, fairly tidy. A lot of bubble wrap, some foam, and then a box. We're going to pretty much pick this apart, make sure that I get all the components laid out here. There's nothing like that new bike smell. You can smell the fresh rubber, these nice wide fat tires, 4 inches wide, nice and pliable, just the rubber right away feeling just nice and pliable. This is awesome. Now again, as I mentioned, I am going to have a number of projects with this. This has potential written all over it. So this is going to have a lot of fun, a lot of good utility purpose. That's the thing about this bike. Again, remember, I said it's a platform. That's absolutely the case. A number of great accessories that you can add to this. I'll get into that detail in a little bit. Now again, this is a folding design, so you can see in transit it was folded up. Looks to be extremely well built. I mean, everything just in an initial impression, very stout, heavy duty. I mean, this thing is a beast. It's going to be heavy, that's for sure, but at the same time, nice and quality. Now, this should be pretty straightforward to put together. There is one thing that, just for me personally, I am going to do. This comes fairly dry. I don't see any grease or anything like this, so I'm definitely going to pay attention and get this greased up as I insert it. But before I do that, I do want to look a little bit further, kind of see what this comes with. Now, as long as I'm careful, this does come with this box. So taking a quick look here, I do kind of want to see what this has for instructions. Make sure I'm kind of paying attention to some of the details. Pedals, tools, and assembly instructions. And in here, your battery charger. So that's awesome. Now just for the time being, I am going to avoid grease as I'm, well, quite frankly, on my living room floor, and I just don't want to get the grease on my carpet. But I will add some grease later, just a little bit inside that stem and a little bit later for that seat post. Should be pretty straightforward. Now, again, this does come with this seat post already mounted to the seat. This is going to have the ability to adjust just a little bit. We'll have to get into this shortly. Has a little bit of a suspension there. You can see some grease actually already underneath that suspension seat post. So this little collar is probably going to need to be popped down and into place. It's pretty much just like a little dust cover. But just for the time being, we'll slide this into place. It does have this quick release lever, so pretty straightforward and fairly standard. Getting these bars up and into place, you'll notice this full wiring harness actually fully wrapped here in this sort of little sleeve. So it does say Heybike, all velcroed. Very nice, actually. I like that padding, keeping things protected, and just sliding that down. You'll notice right now this bike is sitting nicely on the ground. It has a little bit of a stand. I'll show you that in some detail, but getting this upright and folding this now open, and just gonna lock this temporarily into place here now. Wow, this thing's a beast. The Heybike Mars, so cool. Leveraging the kickstand, laying this down. Now, assembly here should be pretty straightforward. Now that I got everything in place, you'll notice I did add a little bit of grease just to kind of get that in there. I mean, I forego the quality of my carpet. Shh, don't say anything to my wife. But this is at least at this point ready to go. So what I need to do is actually fold these handlebars down. So at this point, there is an Allen head underneath here. I need to tighten this down with this straight and in place. That is one thing that's going to be a little bit funny. You'll see here, you know, everything kind of floating around on me. Just need to get it to the point where everything's in proper alignment, get it fairly close, fold this down, and at that point, you know, this is going to be a little bit of a challenge just to make sure I keep everything straight, but I'll do my best, and hopefully everything will end up in a proper alignment. So if you kind of snug up on this at first, just a little bit, but still leave it a little bit of room that you can sort of wiggle it around, it should kind of help you hold it in place. Now I'm going to get this up, kind of spin around, hop on the bike, and hopefully this is close and just about close enough for my needs. A little bit of an adjustment there. Folding that back down carefully, holding this all in place, and now tightening up on this until it's snug. Nice quality Allen head, seems to be suitable, no fear of it stripping, and nice that it comes with the tool. So at this point, it should be in pretty good place. Taking this and sliding it up, locking into place. That is very simple. Nice design, definitely unique. But at this point, at least the front of this is now ready to go. Now again, getting on the seat here, same idea. Did add just a little bit of that grease. I'm not going to go overly tall on the seat here for the demonstration purposes. I'll tune this in a little bit later. But here, clamping this down, and I can tell you for my riding style, I'm going to want this a little bit lower. Installation of pedals, you do need to be careful. They are right and left hand specific. So this one here, right hand side, and they give you a little bit of a diagram, so I'll be threading this clockwise. Again, this is something you could add just a little bit of grease. Now it doesn't exactly come with a pedal wrench, but this will definitely do. Nice and thin and fits in there easily. And there we go. Same process for the left hand side, only you're going to go counterclockwise. Alright, and so now the Heybike Mars. Let's go through this in detail. First and foremost, the aluminum frame. It's beefy, nice welds, generally speaking, as you look around, very nicely done. Over welded, nicely powder coated. Everything seems to be coated very, very well. This is, again, just a really nice platform to work off of. Everything just stout, seemingly extremely well done. Now, in certain strategic locations, you can see there are going to be brackets to hold additional hardware. You can put baskets on the front of this, different things like a luggage rack and whatnot, so that's pretty cool. The other thing that I definitely like, on the back, you have this rack, and on top of that, the ability to put some saddlebags, which I do expect I will do. Now, in terms of the general drivetrain, you have a 500 watt electric hub. You end up with a 7-speed rear cassette, 7-speed shifter on the front. So here you can see all Shimano. Now, it's not going to be the highest end, but at the same time ample for what you need to do. You have 6-inch rotors with mechanical disc brakes, both front and rear. Now, another feature that I'm definitely going to like, the fact that this has fenders on the rear and on the front. That's going to be awesome. This is going to be a workhorse bike. It's going to get me to and from different locations for some filming, and the fact of the matter is it's going to be muddy, so the ability to actually kind of stay clean while I'm doing my work, that's going to be very nice. Now, you do end up with front and, I'm not going to say rear suspension, but you end up with your front suspension here, and in the back it's a suspension seat post. Very straightforward. Has a little bit of a shock absorption. Nice oversized saddle. Going to be fairly comfortable. Now, me, again, growing up on mountain bikes, I'm used to being saddle sore. I don't think that's going to be the case here. It looks to be nice and plush. Very well made. Everything on this seems to be very, very nicely made. Overall, nice stitching. Nice quality materials. Good in sound. No extra flapping material. Even look at these handle grips, very nice. Almost like a leather handle grip, good and comfortable. They're a bolt-on design, which is awesome. I love that. You end up with your throttle, your shifter, your nice brake levers, everything just really nicely done. My initial impression of this, I am definitely impressed. Folding design on the pedals, it'll be interesting to see how this goes. So of course, with this being a folding bike, you actually do have the ability to fold up these pedals. Now, hopefully that's not a liability. I don't think it's going to be, but it'll be interesting to see how that goes. Here you can see the chain. It does come reasonably dry, all things considered. Heybike suggesting that you do not necessarily need any lube for this particular drivetrain. In order to get my battery out, you do have the ability to raise the seat, so this lever on the back. And then your battery here, you can see, fitting down nicely on a rail. This does come with 2 keys, which you basically install into the side there. So here, it's kind of like an ignition. You can turn the bike on or off, and then all the way around to unlock. When you do that, you do have the ability to pull the battery out. Now, if you notice, you do kind of need to kick this lever out of the way just a bit. You don't need to loosen it completely, just sort of kick it to the side, and then this comes right out. You can see this rail system. That's what the battery slides down on. You can see your contacts down below. A very nice design. I do like it, and it's pretty innovative. If you look at the back here, this is how the lock works. As you turn the key, you'll notice that extends, and that's actually pushing through a little hole that's here on the back side of that rail. So that locks this into place. You do have to push the key in and twist, and that will unlock it, and that will allow it to come out. That's going to be useful for charging, or if I need to remove the battery, especially in the winter time. You don't want to store this in an extremely cold location, so pulling this out for storage is going to be key. Putting this back into place, even one-handed while I'm filming here, right back onto that track, setting down, and then bam, all set. Get that back into place, seat down, and I am off and running. Very simple and a very nice design. I like it. As we get into detail with these latches, you'll notice they have almost like a safety where you have to push that first, then pull it open. And then on the inside, you'll notice a sort of little nub there. This has to be seated in the appropriate location when you go to close these, and that will work just fine. That's the case both for the frame and also you'll notice up on the actual stem itself. Now, an initial impression is the actual stem height and the bar height a little bit tall. I kind of wish it was shorter, and at least in this main section by a couple inches. I'd love my bars to actually sit down about here to be more of that mountain bike style. As you can see here, these are quite high, and at that I have an entire second section that I can raise up. So it's kind of like, how high do you really need these? So to me, running this as far down as possible is exactly what I'm going to do. I kind of wish it was just a couple inches shorter to begin with, but again, not a big deal, just my personal preference. The tires, very nice. These are 4-inch wide, 20-inch diameter, just beefy, nice beefy tires. These are going to be excellent. You can run these with appropriate pressure for a little extra cushion. They should be pretty much like a, puncture resistant design. You can see pretty straightforward like most of your fat tire bikes. Just beautifully done. Now, your front suspension, not going to be the longest travel, but at the same time ample for what you're doing. I mean, bottom line is, with a fat tire bike, you kind of don't really need too much in the way of suspension in the first place. You do also have the ability to lock this out. So a very simple lever. We're going to test this in full detail when we get it out on the trails, but you can see here, very simple. And on the opposite side, you do have damper controls and adjustment. So this is at least the ability to kind of dial it in for your weight, for your riding style, and for the conditions that you will be riding. So pretty flexible, and I definitely like this. I already mentioned along the front of the bike, you do have this sort of simple little sleeve here, keeping everything tidy, nice and clean, well fit together. A couple of connectors that you can disconnect if you need to. You end up with a light on the front and also on the back. Again, very simple. Not a lot to it, but a nice touch. Kickstand on the rear, just mounted off of your lower chainstay in the rear there. So very easy and pretty straightforward in terms of the fact that you just simply kick that back. Now, I have seen some people complain about the balance on this bike. I don't think that's going to be a problem, but it is something to pay attention to. And up on the bars, your computer. Now, I'm going to have to get into this. Probably going to have to figure out the battery situation, get everything all fired up. And at that point, once everything's charged, we'll get into this. But this should do some of my settings. You end up with a horn and again, the lights. So this bike here, really, really cool. This is going to be amazing amounts of fun. Very flexible, very versatile, and again, a wonderful platform to work off of. And so again, with the Heybike Mars, just a very first look, unboxing, basic assembly, a first look and impressions. At this point, this is going to have a ton of field use. I mean, a ton. If I don't ride this every single day, I kind of got a problem. This thing needs to be ridden. I cannot wait for it. So again, thank you very much to the people at Heybike. If you guys like what you see, do me a favor, keep an eye out for my future videos. Again, the next video is going to be a demonstration. It's going to be my impressions of actual riding quality and some of the discussion that goes with that. Heybike is coming up on their anniversary at the time of this video. They're running some deals, so take a look at the links below, and hopefully you'll be able to get yourself a nice deal on one of these Mars bikes or another model. And again, if you like this content, do me a favor, take a look at my Outer Limitless 2 channel, which is more on the tactical and firearm side of things. At this point, that channel is growing quickly. I have a ton of videos up there, so if you like what you see here on Outer Limitless, do me a favor and check me out on Outer Limitless 2. So alright guys, thanks for stopping by. I hope you like what you saw. I hope you found it a little bit informative. If you like what you saw, please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for stopping by. Take care now. I'll see you soon.